Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So at yesterday's close, we saw that there was a pretty big divergence between the S&P and the Russell. ES closed at the lows, whereas TF actually broke out higher and closed near the highs, and in the overnight session continued to head higher and maintain those gains. So at this point, heading into the open, there is this big divergence that's in play between the S&P and the Russell, with the Russell showing a lot of strength and ES still stuck within a range. And that sets up the market for a directional move. So heading into the open, holding above 35.5 to 37.5, the buy side can retain control, and a breakout above 42 quarter to 44 quarter could result in a directional move up to 52 to 54 and potentially 58 to 60, and then we'll have to gauge from there depending on how much momentum and strength we're really seeing in the market. So that's the upside scenario. The other idea that can play out is Russell actually hits resistance. So even though there's this positive divergence in play, at the same time, Russell's already moved up quite a bit and is now trading near some short-term resistance. So the other idea is that even though there's this positive divergence that's in play, the Russell actually hits resistance, starts pulling back, and ES balances more before we get a upside move or any kind of directional move. So a failure to hold 35.5 to 37.5 would signal short-term weakness in the S&P. That would bring the 29 to 31 zone into play and the 32 gap. Now buyers can still be active at the 29 to 31 zone, especially if we're seeing signs in real time that there really isn't any broad market weakness that can result in a breakdown. But we just have to keep in mind that below 35.5 to 37.5, the sell side would be a bit more dominant, and a break below 29 to 31 at that point could take place. And below 29 to 31, we have some really strong support at 19 to 21.5 and 10.5 to 13.5. So even if we break 29, that 19 to 21.5 area still has potential to reverse the market higher, because overall we are starting to see signs that buyers are stepping in, and at this point the downside seems fairly limited. So even if we had lower the 19 to 21 half zone, and especially 10 half to 13 half, these are areas that have potential to not just result in a small tradable reaction, but a complete reversal back up to the 35 half to 37 half, 42 quarter, 44 quarter, and potentially even higher. So these are larger time frame support zones that can result in a pretty big move. And even the 29 to 31 is a very important zone, and that's why we saw a reaction there in the overnight session, and the buyer stepped in right at that zone. The other thing is today is rollover, so the levels for today are for the ES June contract. So make sure you've just switched over from the ES March to the ES June contract. So our short-term bias heading into the open is going to favor buyers as long as ES can maintain itself above 35.5 to 37.5. Again, pretty decent positive divergence in play. So, if that plays out and resolves itself in the S&P, then a breakout above 42 quarter to 44 quarter could result in a directional move up to 52, 54, 58 to 60, and we may not get really even much of a reaction at those resistance zones along the way. So, if we're getting a high momentum, high volume breakout, then we just have to be cautious on fading that too soon. Eventually sellers can still step in, but that may not happen until 58 to 60, or even 65 half to 67 half. That's just something that we'll have to gauge as the market opens, because breakout above 44 quarter definitely has potential to go directional. And then again, on the downside, if we start seeing a failure in the Russell, then we'll be a bit careful on taking longs, because ES is technically still trading within a short-term range. But as long as Russell is maintaining its strength, Nasdaq's looking okay. We can definitely focus a bit more on the long side here, above 35.50 to 37.50. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. Let's see if the buyers can hold ES above pre-market support, and we'll take it from there.